that are Muslim?
I do not.
Okay.
I've studied it. I've studied some of it though.
Yeah, so like that's a perfect existence of like people leading black people down the wrong path. Like the Muslim religion is actually in no way like the religion of black people. But I'll show you something.
Well, to be fair, all the religions that black people have been given to them by white people, so it's no different than the rest of them.
That's not true.
That's how.
Okay, so the Christianity was in Africa before the slave trade, and also there's a good argument.
A myth.
That's not a myth. Judaism was in Africa before the slave trade.
Okay, well, I'll give you that. Then why? I'll give you that. Say that is correct. I'm not going to argue that. Why are all the depictions of the biblical characters white?
Well, they used to be black, but then at a certain point in time, people started making the images in their liking. Every culture does that.
So wouldn't that leave black people to believe that white people gave them the religion?
That could make you believe that, but at the same
That's what a
time,
lot of black people believe.
yeah. But do you know why they believe that?
Because they don't do any more research other than the basic stuff that mom and dad told them.
Well, that and also, um, to get so you also have to think of the narrative. The narrative that's being told to black people is slavery so bad you should be upset about it. All right, and we both know that. Do you believe in God or no?
I do not. I do not.
Okay,
I
so
retired from the belief game.
okay, so if you believe in God, all right, God says that you're supposed to live a certain way. You're supposed to have a wife and children, and you're supposed to live in a certain lifestyle. All right. Now, do black people get married?
Not at the rate that they used to.
Correct.
24, only 24%. And we're some
Correct.
of the most religious people in the world. It also tells us not
Correct.
to have premarital sex, but we do a lot of that. It also says
Okay.
thou shalt not kill, but we do a lot of that.
Okay. So now the left, they don't like God, do they?
The left, hold on. It's I see it, but I don't because I'm seeing it on my. Hold on, let me zoom it in. I can't tell. I just see a wall dividing people.
What you're seeing on the screen?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
seeing like you're scrolling up and down now.
Yeah. So this is Mecca. All right. You see
The
this?
holy, the Holy Land. Yeah,
Okay.
the so-called
So
Holy Land.
so what is a swastika in 2 dimensions?
A square. If you touch, yeah,
That's what
a
this
block,
is.
360 degrees.
Okay. Now, do you know what the Muslims do when they visit Mecca?
Kneel and pray towards the east or something. I don't know.
They also walk around Mecca. Do you see how there's this swirl?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So this symbol is a representation of Saturn. The swastika is a representation of this, and these people walk around this in a circle,
360 degrees.
just like the rings on Saturn. It goes back to the worship. It's a
I don't know
pagan.
if I believe Saturn got rings because it's just a whole. I don't know. Sometimes I get into conspiracy theories and shit with NASA and the solar system don't sit right with me.
No, I agree with you, but this is what you understand. So this Saturn is a thing. It's got
Man, look,
rings.
the Hubble, I don't believe the Hubble. Look at that. It ain't no stars in that background. It looks like
No,
a green screen to me, buddy.
you're correct, but you can see this. You can see the stars from the ground. Like you can see that they exist.
I, do
So
you do you think that the International Space Station is a thing?
I don't.
You know, okay, because I was about to say my big question with the International Space Station is why don't they have any footage of a damn space shuttle ever docking to the motherfucker or leaving?
I agree with you, but follow my train of thought here. Regardless if we can get out of the solar system or get out of the atmosphere or not get out of the atmosphere, we do know that there are planets. You can see the planets with your
Yes,
eye.
I agree. I agree with the planets. I just said I
Okay.
don't know if they got rings.
So when you look at Saturn, you can see like throughout time Saturn has been worshipped. And there is
as
a
well as
square.
Venus.
There's a square on Saturn. There's a storm that's said to be on Saturn. This ritual is a pagan ritual that got adopted into the Muslim religion. And that's what the swastika represents, is the worship of Saturn.
Aren't most rituals pagan though?
That's true. Most rituals are pagan. That's why the Bible says not to fall for traditions.
Are
But
you Catholic?
I was baptized Catholic, but I'm not a Catholic.
So you would agree that First Communion and Eucharist and confirmation and all of that are rituals?
Yes.
So that's it. So nobody escapes it.
No. So this is what you gotta understand. There's only two religions on this earth. There's only two.
Give them
You
to me.
have God's religion and the serpent's religion. You only have two.
That would be one and the same. God gave the serpent his religion.
He did not.
If he created him, he did.
No, no. So he gave the Bible to the man. He gave Bible to the man. The serpent is the king of lies, the lord of lies, the liar. So he perverts the word of God and makes his own rituals and his own religion. That's why if you go and look at the Catholic religion is actually paganism with a veneer of Christianity on top of it. It's not Christian. Everything the Bible says not to do, the Catholics do.
Would you agree that the serpent can only do what God allows?
Correct.
So the serpent is doing God's bidding in a sense then, right?
No.
How? If he could if God has total control of the God has total control over the serpent has to have permission to mess with God's creation, as like with
Correct.
Job. So he was doing God's bidding to torture Job. He
No.
wasn't thinking about Job until God suggested him.
No. So have you read the story of Job?
I have.
Okay, so
Job was actually the perfect human being.
Yes, Job was loved by God. And the devil told him that even if you took everything, he only loves you because times are good. And he said, if you let me take everything away from him, he will not love you. He'll worship me. And God told him, you're wrong. And then the devil said, then prove it. And then he allowed the devil to do what he wanted to do. And Job didn't break. The moral of that story is that it comes back down to responsibility. Just because I put 10 bricks in your driveway doesn't mean you have to sell 10 bricks. Your
But
principles and your faith are more important than
why would
the
God
bullshit.
need to prove to Satan the thing that he created that something he knew wouldn't happen? He allowed him to be tortured.
Because you have to also understand that when when God made the world and he made reality, he knew that it wasn't gonna the world was perfect. Once we sinned, it was out of God's control.
Couldn't have been perfect if we had Satan already. There was a hell already created.
There wasn't a hell.
Where was the serpent? Said the devil had already been casted out from heaven, so there had to have been a hell.
He wasn't cast. How could he have been cast out if he was in the garden?
It was cast out from heaven, unless we're saying the Garden of Eden is heaven.
The Garden of Eden was heaven. They got kicked out of the Garden of Eden was a spiritual place. That's why they didn't need clothes. When they got cast out, they came to our reality.
I never knew those two, but I never knew those two were synonymous.
That's why the serpent was in the garden. And then if you remember,
now can you show me where it says that heaven and the Garden of Eden are one and the same?
It's explained by their fall. When they sinned, they fell. They fell to a fallen. They became a fallen state. How do you fall?
So how was for the devil to be a serpent before he was able to tempt Adam and Eve to fall from the Garden of Eden? He had already been banished out of heaven and cursed to be a snake.
He wasn't.
How? So God made Adam and Eve first, and then they had a war in heaven, and the devil turned on them, and then we got to have a timeline here. One had to happen before the other. Before Adam and Eve got there, there had to be a snake there for them.
No. So Lucifer was able to shapeshift. All right. There was multiple times that he was throughout the Bible, he was going to heaven. He's not
in Genesis.
That you're right, it's not in Genesis, but as you go through the book, there are times where he's in heaven.
Well, we're sticking with Adam and Eve, though. We're not going past that. He was already banished out of heaven.
No,
that's how he got there to tempt them.
No, listen. I'm explaining to you what you asked. He cannot be banished from heaven if he was in the garden. He can't be banished from heaven if after Genesis he was in heaven. Part of the reason why he was cast out of heaven was because he did not look at Adam and Eve as equal creatures, and he would not bow to them. So how can you not consider something to be equal and not bow to something if you're already banished from heaven? Part of Lucifer's fall, part of the devil's fall, was the fact that he thought himself to be a better creature than Adam and Eve. And that's what made him want to go against Adam and Eve.
So, stop. So would you say that hell is earth then?
Heaven is on earth, but it's not.
Not heaven. Not heaven. Would you say that
heaven and earth are all in the same place? We're all in the same place.
Hell and earth. Earth is earth. The earth hell.
No. So okay. Here's the best way. This is the best way to explain it. In the Bible, in Genesis, you know about the Nephilim, right?
Yes, the giant people.
Okay. So do you know why the giants were giants in this world?
I do not.
Okay, so the best way to explain it is, so you had angelic beings, which are spiritual.
That were having sex with humans. Yeah,
yes, I heard that. So they are an angelic being, so they are able to be in heaven. All right, but when they come to us, they're in human form. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so when they have sex with women, they're able to transcend. There's more to them than the same DNA as man and woman. When Adam and Eve fell, they were angelic beings that fell and became in the third dimension in our realm.
So they went
These
from angels to human.
Correct. That was part of the fall and sin being and them being cursed. So then when the angels had sex with Adam and Eve and their kin, well, not Adam and Eve specifically, but their kin, you had a spiritual being that was in the form of a third dimensional being. So when they had sex with a third dimensional being and that third dimensional being produced them, they were an abomination and they were not allowed to be in the spiritual realm, but all of that had to go somewhere. So it could only be in the third dimension. It could only be with us. So that's why they were so big, because of all of that shit that was spiritual that was attached to them. That's why when they died, they lived forever, because their souls were eternal. You are cramming a big thing into a small place because they weren't born for this realm.
I
So
think we
when
have found. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
the reason that I say that is because hell is not like hell is with us. Like in the Bible, it talks about there being a barrier, that God made the pit and there's a barrier to keep the pit away from us. But they're trying to break through. In the end times, the veil opens and they come into our realm. So the way that I interpret this is you're on earth and we're in the third dimension. All right. I believe that heaven and hell are on this place, but they're in a different dimension. Like the realm that we see is all the stuff around us, but there could be a hell next to us, but we just can't interact with it or see it because God has made it to where it can't interact with us. We can't see it. That's why witchcraft and all that stuff, they're summoning those things to them because they're already around, but they don't have the ability to affect us.
I think we have found the topic for our next show. We should do a debate on religion, but we gotta actually write like 3 topics down. And this is the first one is interesting because we still haven't answered when hell was created. Was it before or after Adam and Eve ate it, or when was it banished? Because it was created for Satan,
Yeah, but
and we didn't
I
hear
don't.
about Satan until Adam and Eve's temptation story.
Yeah,
I'm
but
just
Adam and Eve,
I've read part of, you know what I'm saying. I have a deeper understanding and have read the book of Enoch and stuff like that. But I'm talking about the traditional basic church that's given. Like you grew up Catholic, they don't teach all the stuff that you're talking about, Nephilim and stuff. We don't hear about that. That's not in our religion book.
yeah, but so you got two things here. So I was baptized Catholic when I got sober. I was every like my dad changed religions like he changed girlfriends.
I'm here
But
with you. My mom did the same.
so with that being said, at the same time as we say that, Enoch used to be part of the Bible. A lot of the things there, Jubilee used to be part of the Bible. There was a lot of things that the people before us were taught that they stopped teaching. And like the reason that the book of Enoch was taken out was because Enoch explained more about the fall of the angels and the Nephilim. It explained more of that. And if you go and look at like CERN, they're trying to break through. Like that's what they're trying to do. And if you notice how society's going the way it is because God gave reign to the devil. And at the end times, he comes back and he takes control. And we're in that time of the devil's world. What did the devil say to Jesus on the mountaintop when he tempted him?
Anything that I can give you all of this if you just bow down and praise me. You can have anything that you want.
But what things did he specifically say?
I think you promised him the world, eternal life, and something else. I'm fuzzy on it. I know the
He
basics,
said
but I'm fuzzy.
he said fame. He said fame and wealth.
Worldly things, the typical stuff that people
Okay.
fall
So
for.
what do celebrities have?
Fame, power, and wealth.
Uh-huh. And Do you think society has gotten better or worse?
I think it's the same. Technology is just advanced because the Bible had the same type of evils. Don't get me wrong. I think the Bible is a beautiful book, but I understand the anthropomorphization that's being used in it, so I don't take the stuff literal, but I do see correlations from stuff that's in the Bible to real life.
Okay, so here's a question. So, have you read the Satanic Bible?
I have not.
Do you know anything about Aleister Crowley?
I do. Mr. Scientology.
No, Aleister Crowley wasn't Scientology.
What I'm saying, he inspired Scientology. That's pretty much where they get all of their shit from, Aleister.
But do you know what
But
Aleister
he's
Crowley
the
was?
Aleister Crowley's the Luciferian founder, right?
Yeah, he wrote the Book of Law. And do you know what he was famous for?
I do not.
Sex magic.
Oh, and what didn't he like kids too? Or he
Correct.
did rituals on kids?
He got kicked. He got ran out of England because of things he did to children.
Remember
Okay,
earlier we said pedophilia has been around for a long time,
it has, and
even
it's
in religions.
and that's a pagan thing.
Well,
You hear what? Do you
yeah,
hear
I
what?
heard you say pagan. I heard you say pagan. Remember, I said
Okay,
earlier that paganism and religions go together. The way it
but not,
looks,
but not Christianity.
it's all under the same umbrella to me.
It's not. So this is what I'm trying to get you to see. The Democrats don't believe in God. They don't like God. You can that's proven by them burning churches and them also defacing statues of Mary. Correct?
Yeah, I have no.
That's happened.
Yeah,
Okay. All right. So how do you get a people that's really religious away from God? Because black people are pretty religious, correct?
yeah.
Do you think you possibly play on their emotions about telling them that the white slave owner gave you the Bible?
Possibly, but that's not why most black people that I know, that's not why they left. That was the reason that they got enraged with religion, but it's not why they left. But you're absolutely right. I could agree with that.
But you can see how that would plant a seed, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Uh-huh. Just like, do you know that do you know why that Muhammad Ali changed his name from Cassius Clay?
Because he said he was reborn under Islam.
That's yeah, but what do you know what he said specifically?
I do not.
He said that he gave up the slave owner name of Cassius Clay to take a name that was more like his people. Okay. You want to do you want to see something that's fun?
I said to each his own. I got to say, how does he even know that he is the descendant of a slave owner? That irritates me with blacks too. Why do we always assume that we are descendants of slaves, yet we're quick to say that all the natives were black? So if the natives were black, why do you keep associating with slave owners and the natives weren't slaves? I don't get it. Anyway, man, we gotta come up with a
Well, I want to show you
organized
something.
conversation about religion. That could be very, very interesting. I have more questions than anything.
Okay, so I want to show you
Typically,
something. I want to show you something very particular.
go
Now
ahead.
tell me how this makes sense to you. You see this guy?
Which one? The red beard,
Mm-hmm.
the leprechaun.
Yeah, you see that it is?
He's definitely Irish, or he looks Irish.
Do you know who this is?
Grandson of Prophet Muhammad.
His 34th grandson of Muhammad.
Yeah, the founder of Islam was white. It's no secret.
Okay.
That's what made me make
So
the comment earlier that black people should feel like that white men have given them all their religions. We can't act like the
okay,
Crusades didn't happen where Christianity was forced on people.
that's not why the Christian Christianity Catholicism was forced on people. The
Man,
Crusades, the
stop
Crusades,
trying to separate them.
they're different.
Catholicism, all of them follow Christianity tenets.
They
All
don't.
of them, they do. They just
They
worship
don't.
in a different way. And
No.
that's one of the things I don't
No.
like about religion. It creates division because a Baptist is just as Christian as a Catholic, just
They're
as a
not.
Kojic, as
They're
a
not.
Jehovah's Witness. Why?
They're
They
not.
just worship differently.
Okay, so then that means if that's the argument you're gonna make, then you're a
I'm
Jamaican.
asking questions.
I'm a black. I'm black.
Not, I said they all have the same tenets. Catholics read out of the
They,
same Bible, and they just have different practices. Black the Catholic Church and the Kojic Church read out the same Bible. They just present it a different way, and one doesn't have communion every day.
okay, so so this is the best way to explain something. To explain this, to be a Christian, that comes from Christ. In order to be a Christian, you have to follow the teacher who is Christ. Okay? So here's a great way to show this. So Judaism is the Old Testament. Christianity is the New Testament. All right? So are Jews Christian?
Jews don't acknowledge the Old Testament.
No,
I
they
mean
don't
the New
acknowledge the
Testament.
New
They
Testament.
don't acknowledge the New Testament. I said about
So they're not Christians then. Correct.
yes, they stand on not being Christian, the same as Muslims.
Okay.
But
Okay.
Christianity has a whole bunch of sects under it.
So follow this. So if you're supposed to follow the tenets of Jesus, all right, how can you follow those tenets of Jesus if you don't follow what Jesus said? Because if you can, then that would make Jews Christians because they don't follow Jesus's teachings.
But that's only in Europe. But see, they don't. Judaism doesn't claim to be Christian. They don't fall under the Christianity
No,
umbrella. They never say they are.
no. Catholics don't
Catholics
say they're
fall under Christianity. Google it.
no. Catholics say they're Catholic.
Google it.
They say they're Catholic.
Actually, and Catholics will say they are the original Christianity. They will say they're the first. They will say they're the head of the church.
And me saying that I'm black doesn't make me black.
But this is the religious people. This is what they're putting out to people. I'm not making this up. This is what they're putting out to people.
So
that's why I told you to Google it. Catholics consider themselves Christians because they follow the teachings of Jesus Christ.
They don't follow the teaching of Jesus Christ. But they don't. That's the thing. They don't.
What do you mean? Explain how they don't.
Okay.
Or you mean they're not following it correctly?
Do you know how the Pope came into existence?
I do not.
Do you know
I was Catholic for 12, 13 years.
Do you know that Jesus had a brother?
Not based on the Bible's account of things. Oh, was it
James?
No.
He had a brother named James, yeah.
Was that who the book of James is after?
He had a book. That's who it's after. His brother was named as James. After Jesus died, they killed James. They then made they made Paul the first pope.
Wait a minute. He had a brother named James. Who conceived James?
His mom.
What was her name?
Mary.
And she had him with Joseph?
Yeah, she had him after he was born after Jesus.
Okay. Well, this is new to me. I don't know
Yeah.
how I
So
missed that. This is new to me. I'm not being an asshole or anything. I'm asking. I
no,
actually didn't know his parents were.
yeah, he had a brother, and after Jesus was killed, so was James, and then they took Peter and made Peter the first pope.
Well, he said he was
And
going to build the church on him anyway. He said he was his rock. That's who he's going to build his church upon. That's in the New Testament.
correct. Do you know what the pope is?
The head of the church.
No, that's not what Catholics consider the pope.
What do they consider them?
The pope is considered the holy seed, and he's supposed to be the representation of God on earth.
I never heard that in my well, fuck it, because I never converted to anything until I stopped doing religion. So in my 30 plus years of living, I was never taught that, and I went to a Catholic school where we went to religion 5 days a week, mass twice a week. Plus my grandmother and them were Catholic. I never heard that.
So how many Hail Marys have you said in your life?
A lot when I used to go to confession.
Okay, so then why is the second commandment not to worship false idols?
According to that, you have a great point. I've said that before. I've said that before too, but the Catholic Church says they honor Mary's place just like they honor everyone else, but they hold Jesus as the King of Kings. But I would also say the same thing. It says God is a jealous God, so God should be upset every time someone calls on Jesus. Even though that's his son, he's a jealous God, and you shouldn't worship anyone but him.
But he is, but
Ain't no
that's the thing.
but. It ain't
No,
no
but
but.
there is a but. Because God came to the earth as Jesus. That Jesus is God's
God said
human form.
worship no God. God let it be known that Jesus was his son, separate from him. That's why I said the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. That's why
Yes.
religion is confusing.
No, it's
It
not
is.
confusing.
In one
Listen,
instance, he says he
stop.
does. Go ahead.
Calm down.
Go ahead.
What did Jesus say about the covenant?
What did God say before Jesus came? Jesus said
That's
he
not.
didn't come to change. He said he didn't come to change any rules or anything. He came to fulfill it. But we can't
He did
ignore
fulfill.
what God said before Jesus got here.
I understand that. I understand that. But he fulfilled the covenant. So when Jesus came, the covenant of not worshiping Jesus was fulfilled. So when Jesus said, "The only way to my Father is through me," you no longer had to listen to that covenant because Jesus came as God on earth.
But that
That's
is
why he.
that's
That's why.
but
Listen. That's why Jesus. That's why Jesus gave. That's why Jesus was given the power of God and the dominion over the earth. He was given what man was given dominion over the earth. God gave him the dominion over the earth, and he gave him dominion in the spiritual. That's why when Jesus said, "The only way to my Father is through me," you're not breaking the Bible. That's in the Bible.
so the Old Test is the old is the did the Old Testament make the new did the New Testament make the Old Testament irrelevant?
Correct.
So then why
If
are you following the Ten Commandments? That's all old. You just said Jesus came to cancel all of that out. So God, you said
you,
God ain't mad no more
hold on,
about you
hold on,
worshiping someone else. So
hold
that's
on.
in the Ten Commandments, though. Is that not right? You said Jesus changed that.
It said not to worship false idol. You're right. What did Jesus say when it came to the commandments?
You just said it's null and void.
Yes, but see, you have to read the entire Bible to understand the context of what is being said. Jesus, they asked him about the commandments, and he said, "Treat others how you want to be treated, and to love thy neighbor, and you will follow all the 10 commandments by doing that," is what he said. He also said, the only way to my Father is through me. So if you practice those three things, you're not worshiping false idols. You're not murdering your neighbor. You're not stealing from your neighbor. You're not having pride if you're
Well,
treating your
murder is good because you said the golden rule: if your neighbor kills you, you can kill them.
listen. If you get killed, how are you going to kill your neighbor?
Well, you know
Explain that.
you know what I meant. I didn't mean to say kill, but that's
But
where
what?
the
But
eye
that's
for an eye term comes from.
yes. And then Jesus said to turn the other cheek. Treat your neighbor how you would like to be treated, and to love thy neighbor, and only to my Father's through me. All the 10 commandments are completely and utterly taken care of in those three sayings.
Here's the thing about religious context: it's how you perceive it. Everyone doesn't perceive it that way, and if anyone has a different interpretation of it, one can say that the other person is wrong, and there's never a
But
common
but
ground unless the people just agree automatically. Because what
no,
you're saying, it's cool, but I have a different perception of it as well. You
that's
told
great.
me my perception was wrong and yours was right, but there's no way to prove that your
But
context
there
and
is.
perception is. It's not. It's
But no,
subjective.
but there. It's not subjective when you say you're a Christian. Like that's the point.
You
You
said
can
Jesus gave you one golden rule, but then you said he gave one rule that canceled out everything, but then with that
no.
one rule, you listed three
That's
more things.
no. I said that he fulfilled the old covenant. And then when they asked him about the commandments, he said these three things, and those three things, if you do them, you're still following the 10 commandments, is what I'm telling you. If
I
you
thought
treat
you.
your
Okay, I misheard you. I thought you said if you just do this one thing, then you follow all of them, and that's why I said you named three things. So did he say
yes,
follow this one thing or these three things? And
he said
actually,
about
and a lot of this stuff that we're saying, we're just having to take your word for it. There is no actual scripture for a lot of the stuff that you're saying, like the heaven and hell, like the Garden of Eden being heaven. There's no scripture that says that. Not at the one that they sell to the general public. You have to
have
seek
you
that knowledge.
that's you're supposed to seek all knowledge.
I understand that, but religion also tells you don't seek outside of this Bible. The Bible that's also missing several books that they let you know is missing books. That's why I said it's confusing.
So I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Um, what did Jesus say about lukewarm Christians?
Lukewarm Christians?
Yeah.
You mean like none, like half believers, non-believers? I don't know, but I'm trying to get what context, but I'm not exactly sure what he said. I can't quote.
He said in the end times there are going to be a lot of lukewarm believers, and a lukewarm believer would be the guy that goes to his. It also says in the Bible not to call another man father. Says
Was
that
Jesus
plain as
talking
day.
to Christians or Jews though? Was he talking to Christians or Jews?
Regardless who he's
It's,
talking to.
it's not a regardless because Jesus was a Jew and he said the Jews were his people and Christianity didn't exist while he was around, so it does matter. He wasn't
Okay, so
talking to you. He was talking to the Jews.
okay, so if he was talking to the Jews and he said, "Don't call other people followers or other people father," and you're a Christian, that means you're doing what Christ said, and Christ said, "Don't call other people fathers." Right?
Christianity didn't exist until after Jesus died.
Yes. The
So
reason Christian.
he predicted that it was going to be a religion after him instead of talking to the Jews that actually had the religion, that had the Torah, that had the Ark of the Covenant, that was Hebrew, not Christian.
The reason that Christianity became a religion is because people followed in Christ's footsteps. They were called followers of Christ before they were called Christians. You can't be a Christian and not follow what Christ said.
Christ was
So
talking to the Jews.
yes, he was talking to the Jews the whole time. Everything he said, he was talking to the Jews.
So there is no Christianity then. There should only be Judaism.
No,
He was talking to the Jews. The law was the Jews. He came for the Jews. He was the king of the Jews. There was no Christianity, so everybody should be Jews. He wasn't talking to the Egyptians. He wasn't talking to the pagans. He wasn't talking to the Kemites. He wasn't talking to the Sumerians. He wasn't talking to the Levites. None of them. He was strictly talking to the Jews.
And then he didn't follow the Jews. The Jews didn't follow him.
But that's who he. But all through the New Testament, he clearly says he's talking to the Jews. You can't get around that. They didn't have to.
Correct.
He also said he wasn't forcing people to follow him. He said he wanted the people that did to follow him.
The people that did want to follow him. The people that wanted to follow him.
Which would be Jews.
Correct.
Jews.
Correct.
So we should be in agreement then that there's only one religion, Judaism.
No, there's not.
Jesus was a Jew, correct?
Correct.
He was born a Jew. He died a Jew. His message was for the Jews. Okay, then.
It was
so
for the
Christians and Muslims don't count. Only Jews.
No, he spoke to the Jews, and you just said that anyone that wanted to follow him. So if the Jews followed him, they would not be Jews, right?
No, because the Jews were his people. Anyone that wanted to follow him, like Egyptians, Kemitics, those type things, Sumerians, the pagans, Levites, if they wanted to follow, it was cool. But his message was strictly for the Jews.
His message was, but anyone was welcome to it, correct?
It's just like we can convert now. I can convert from Catholicism to Judaism. Yes, I'm allowed to convert.
You could do that.
So that's why his message, if you want to come in, cool, we will accept you. But my message ain't for y'all. It ain't for the Christians, even though Christianity don't exist. It's for the Jews. His last name was not Christ, for God's sake.
I know.
His name was Jesus. His last name wasn't Christ.
His name wasn't even Jesus, but
I know. But we're going off what the Bible tells us. We're not going to go into the actual knowing that the letter J wasn't around. We're just going to keep to the story that's fed to the regular public.
Yes, but again, he was talking to the Jews who don't believe in him, whoever wanted to follow him could.
It's not that all of them didn't believe in him. Some didn't, just like some don't now.
No. See, that's the thing. If you're Jewish, you don't follow him. Like, there's a clear line. To be a Christian, you have to follow Christ. It's a clear line.
That's because Christianity was made up after Jesus allegedly died. It was only Judaism when Jesus was around, and paganism and things of that sort.
But that doesn't make it not true. That doesn't make Catholicism Christianity. It doesn't.
I'm just telling you how it's perceived in the public. All of them fall under the same branch. I understand what you're saying. I'm saying that the average person in perception of this sees Christianity as a whole bunch of different sets of religions.
That's great, but my job isn't to play facts or play life with what ignorant people think. That's why they're ignorant. I can't help. I can't.
Go ahead.
I can't help. Like, this is the same thing that Tommy says. When you use words, they have to be specific. Christianity is a specific thing. It came from the followers of Christ. It was what the apostles were teaching. They were teaching what Jesus said. That's what the religion came from. So if you don't follow the teachings that Christ told the apostles, that the apostles told the people as well, then you can't be a Christian. Like, you can't, like, Christians came from his word. That's why Jews are not Christians if they don't believe that Jesus is the Messiah.
But
so
I don't know how we got on Judaism, but I was saying earlier, I said Christianity touches a whole bunch of things. Every black cat, I say Catholic churches believe in Jesus. Kojic churches believe in Jesus.
Yes.
Baptist churches believe in Jesus. So on
Yes.
and so forth. So they
Correct.
all are Christians. They're all of you ask if you ask any Kojic person or Baptist person, what are they? They're going to say Christian.
So if I ask 5 out of 10 black people if systematic racism exists in 2020, and they tell me yes, does that make it true?
It does not.
Correct.
That's what you got to say. But these people, we're talking about identifying with something. Can't identify with systematic racism is subjective. Everybody can't say they are, but everybody in these because all of them say they're Christian churches, Church of God in Christ, all of them say that they are Christian.
Yeah,
So
Democrats say that.
So you're saying the churches are lying. So the problem isn't with me. It's the problem with the people with the churches that are perpetrating Christianity. But again, I say Christianity shouldn't even exist. It should only be Judaism because Jesus was a Jew. He was born a Jew, he died a Jew.
Yeah, regardless if he was born a Jew or died a Jew, it doesn't matter because he didn't practice Judaism.
He did. That's the religion he practiced when he was here.
That's not what he practiced.
What did he practice when he was here then?
He practiced
Christianity and it didn't exist.
He practiced what he taught. He wasn't teaching.
Which was the law of Moses. It was the Old Testament.
Oh, so he didn't work on
Judaism. He taught Hebrew stuff. That's
why
God was mad at them because remember God was upset with the Egyptians when Moses came down from the mountain because they went back to their Egyptian idolatry ways instead of going back to their Hebrew temple.
So he taught. So why did he let the apostles work on Sabbath? Because that's a big
about Jewish holidays. I think the Sabbath is a Christian holiday.
That's from Judaism. That's from Judaism. That's from Judaism. But he allowed.
So in the Bible, when it says keep holy the Sabbath, they were talking to Jews, right? In your Christian Bible.
Correct. In the Old Testament.
So even God in your Christian book is talking to the Jews.
Yes. The Old Testament is Judaism.
Oh, I'm not arguing with it. I'm emphasizing that everybody should be Jews. I'm not disputing it. I'm just saying everybody should be Jews.
You're arguing a straw man argument, my dude. Because if you're going to say that everyone should be Jews,
based on what your Bible says, everyone should be Jews. I'm not making it up. That's what the Bible says. Jesus was Jewish. His people were Jewish. There were no Christians. So how could his people be anything other than Jews?
The same reason they didn't accept their Messiah.
Christians don't accept their Messiah now. It happens in Judaism. All Jews don't believe. All of them don't worship and go through the sacraments and all of that stuff. All Jews don't. All Catholics don't go through First Communion and shit like that.
Okay, so can you be Jewish and not practice Judaism?
I would assume so, seeing as how you can be any other religion and not practice it.
So is Judaism, are Jews a people? Is it a heritage? Is it an ethnicity?
You gotta say those are great questions. I have no idea. Some you gotta say
it is.
Some say it's a religion, some say it's a people, some say it's a culture.
It's both.
I have no idea.
It's both. It's both. It's both things. So I can't be a Christian without believing in Christ and following the teachings of Christ. I can't be a Jew and not have any lineage or be a Jew by religion. Like, these things have definitions.
And as I said, here's the definition for you. The Catholic Church, sometimes referred to as the Roman Catholic Church, is the largest Christian church with approximately 1.3 billion baptized Catholic worldwide as of 2018. Christian
Great.
is in bold italic letters, just like Catholic.
That's great.
So
Is
because
black
you say,
is
but it's commonly accepted as there. You can't say just because you say it, you're in the minority on this, and I'm not even saying
that
it's wrong. I'm
that's
just saying that a
that's
whole
fine
bunch
that
of
I'm
religions fall under Christianity.
that's fine that I'm in the minority, but do Black Lives matter? Is that for all Black lives?
In my estimation, no. To other people, yes.
But do you judge do you judge the tree by its fruit, or do you judge the tree by being a tree?
Well, apparently Jesus. I'm not Jesus, so I would judge it by what season it was in. But Jesus,
The Bible says to judge a tree by its
cursed the
fruit.
fig tree. I'm saying me literally. I told you, some stuff in the Bible I can see the anthropomorphism in it, but I don't take everything literally. So that's why I said I would look and based on the season, depending on the season, that's how I would judge it. And then I brought up the story of how Jesus, who knows all, cursed the fig tree, even though it said in the Bible that the tree was out of season. He cursed it anyway, knowing that it wasn't time for figs to be grown, which is also said the Bible is confusing. It's confusing because we're arguing that all these sects aren't Christianity when clearly they all say they follow Christ. And that's something that we can't argue because if you ask all these sects, they say they follow Christ, which makes them Christian. But you're
It doesn't.
saying that you have a different definition of Christian than
I don't.
everybody else.
I don't have a different definition. I have a logical definition. To be a Christian, you have to follow Christ. If you don't follow Christ, then you're not a Christian. If I'm not black, I'm not black. They're not. They don't follow. They don't follow Christ. You judge them on their.
They do follow
It's
Christ. They have Palm Sunday. They have Easter. They have his birthday. They do all these things in the name of Christ. You can't say that. Now you're ignoring what you said you were Catholic. So you're ignoring what you know goes on. You know they follow Christ.
They don't. I know they don't.
Well, what's the true sect of Christianity?
How many times is Easter? How many times is Easter referred to in the Bible?
Ishtar is mentioned in there a couple times. Easter never.
Easter's mentioned once.
That's why I said Ishtar. I don't remember seeing the word Easter. I remember Ishtar being in there. But I
Easter's
know they
mentioned.
do mean the same thing.
Easter's mentioned one time. Ishtar was a god. If you go right now and look up the scholars, they'll tell you that Easter was a mistranslation. It was a mistranslation put in the Bible. You can Google it right now. Do you know what Easter comes from? Easter comes from Egypt. Before Egypt, it was in Babylon. Do you know what the three main gods are in Egypt?
Asar, Aset, and I can't think of the third.
Those are the three. It's Osiris,
Those are Greek.
Isis,
Those are
and
Greek names.
Horus.
Those are Greek names. Horus is the third one. That would be actually Charu. Yeah, you gave me the Greek names. I gave you the Kemetic names. The actual Egyptian names.
Yeah, so they're all the same god. So Isis, Osiris, and Horus. Those are three gods. Then you have those three gods in Egypt. Then when you go from Egypt, you go to Babylon. You have Nimrod, Semiramis, and Tamas, which is in the Old Testament. It talks about the Tower of Babel, and it talks about Nimrod.
Tower of Babel is the story of the people just trying to get close to the God, which is what you think he would want them to do, because he said they loved him so much. They just want to be close to him. We are creating his image. They got punished for that.
Do you know the story of Tomas? Do you know? Do you know? Do you know?
Is this the same Thomas, Jesus' brother?
No, Tomas, not
Well, maybe
Thomas.
it's. But sometimes they just change the wording of it. But no, I'm not familiar with it.
Okay, so this dude dipped out on me. Okay, so in the book, Nimrod became a great king. He was born a man, but became a giant. The Bible says that. So he did something that became a giant. Also, he was married to Semiramis. They had a child. Nimrod dies. Do you know how the story of Isis and Osiris, how Osiris got killed and he got
Yeah,
separated
and
into
she
a bunch
put
of
it back
pieces?
together. Yeah.
Okay. The story with Nimrod is that he died and then he came back as a pine tree. And then Semiramis became pregnant and she said that it was the spirit of Nimrod, that it was his son. And then she married her son. When her son Tomas got killed, they wept every day for a year of his life, which was 40 years. All right. And then they ate a boar because a boar is what killed him. Now, does that sound familiar in any way? Does that sound similar?
Or 40 days, 40 nights, Jesus fasting.
Anything else about that specifically?
Uh, no. We gotta say
Okay.
it sounds like a load of bull because none of this can be proven. We just have to believe that it happened. But
You
the only one that
Tomas is in the
could.
Bible. The story of him is in the Bible.
Well, see, the thing is, you're talking to a non-believer, and I'm a non-believer for a reason. As we've talked, you know that I have some knowledge of Bible stories and typical things and other stuff. So it's not like I just woke up one day and said, "Hey, I don't believe anymore." I was a believer for matter of fact. On my 34th birthday, I woke up and thanked Jesus for allowing me to see another day. So it hadn't even been that long.
But the thing that I'm telling you about that story that's specific is there is a tree that's a green. It's a pine tree, and then there's the 40 days, one day for each day of his life that they wept, and then they ate a boar. People usually eat what at Easter? A ham, an Easter ham.
True. I
Okay,
see the correlation.
all right. Now, if you believe that the story of Babel, where the people were doing something and God said if they do that they can do anything, which he did say, and he destroyed the tower and then he separated them and changed their language, that would explain why the Egyptians have the same idea. It's the father, the son, and the mother. That's why the Hindu have the same idea. That's why the Catholics have the same idea.
Or the
It's
Egyptians, you got to say the Egyptians they had it before anybody, and they got it from somebody else.
Well, yeah, they got it from Babylon. Babylon is before Egypt.
As far as my knowledge, Sumeria, or Kush, or whatever they
Yes,
call it, is the oldest
yeah,
one.
Samaria. Yeah, and do you know what Nimrod's father's name was?
Well, one of these things had to exist first for other people to write about it. There has to be a
Yeah,
starting place somewhere.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I'm telling you is that story of Babylon, regardless if it came before them or after them, that story explains the idea that the people's language got separated and they got spread around the world. And that's why you see the same theme in these religions: the father, the son, and the mom. Also, with that being said, every culture has a flood
Migrating,
story.
migrating can explain that too.
Yeah, but regardless if migraine or not, they have the same story with different languages.
Just like religion. Just like we got the original Torah, which we disregard for Christian Bible, but the Torah was the original language and text of of the gods religion per se. Because they were
Yeah.
doing the pagan gods. They were doing the pagan gods, but Judaism was the official record of
Yes.
the god.
I'm not disagreeing with you. Do you know? Do you know how old Trump was when he took office?
70 something, 68,
He
damn
was
near
70.
70.
He was 70 years old. He was 7 months old and 7 days old.
777. You believe in numerology?
I do.
You can't be a Christian and believe in numerology. It's a sin.
It's not.
It is. You're not even supposed to lean on your own understanding. That's a sin. You knowing what you know now is a sin according to the Bible. Because
It's
you're
not.
only supposed to lean on what's in that book. I'm not making this up. I'm just saying what the book says. If
It's not.
you're learning stuff outside the Bible and it says not to. So I don't change the words of the Bible to fit my perception. I say exactly what it says.
That's fine. Numerology.
I don't find you a sinner though. I'm just saying what the book is. I'm down
No,
with numerology. I fuck with it. I fuck with astrology.
I don't fuck with astrology.
I mean the astronomy, astrology, those are hand in hand. You're big on planets. That goes with astrology. I don't
I'm
believe
not.
in zodiac. What I'm saying, I don't do the zodiac signs and Mars and Venus and
I don't do that.
retrograde and all of that. Me either.
It's witchcraft.
I said me either, but I said that's why. But it does kind of go hand in hand with astronomy and star watching and stuff. Do you
Yeah,
sun gaze?
but numbers. If if God has the number 777, then why seeing that 777 is relevant? How is that a sin? If it says the mark of the beast is 666, and why recognizing that number is that a sin?
You're an educated man. You know what 666 means. So I don't even know why you would perpetuate that stereotype of it being evil when you know that's what gives people their melanin. Six protons, six neutrons, six electrons. Has
Yeah,
nothing to do with the devil.
it has to do with man,
Black man or just men?
men, humans.
Because we know scientifically what 666 is.
It's the mark of the beast.
And it's also what gives black people their melanin.
White people have 6 protons, 6 neutrons.
Yes, all people. I don't know why I said black. So it's not. So are all humans evil? Because we all have the mark of the beast, according to what you're trying to say, and you just said white and black got the 666.
No, we all have 6. We all are made up of 6 neutron. The proton, like the atom, is made up of those things. But taking the mark of the beast means something. Like when you read the context of taking the mark, it's that you are accepting this mark in order to live in this world. So 666 in itself is not bad, but doing worldly things just to get by, that's the lesson in that line. That's why if you don't take the mark, you get beheaded.
And I can agree with that without being religious. Doing worldly things is not what
Yeah,
we're really
like
supposed to be here to
that's
do.
what they're saying. That's
But
that's what they
for
were.
the average person here, 666. That's a lot of times when I do talking, I speak for average person, because the average person is listening in. It's not a lot of people that can go in depth on religion like this.
Yeah, but what you also have to understand is, like, regardless if you believe this or not, the people that matter do believe this.
Oh, exactly.
Like,
Now you see, I'm agreeing with stuff that you say. I'm just saying I don't believe some of it in a literal sense, but I haven't. I'm not arguing with you about the
no.
validity or anything. I keep saying it's confusing to me.
Well, if you if you if you go and you look into, like, okay, were you ever part of a gang?
I was not. I have family members that were.
And what are they affiliated with?
GDs.
Okay, so they're under the six.
Yep. I
Okay,
understand all
so
of those. Just
all right, so you know what the
vice
six, you
lords.
know what, yeah, you know what the
Yeah,
six
two
star is.
triangles. Yeah,
Yes,
or two pyramids. Yep.
which also makes, if you do the numbers on the
360
angles,
degrees.
it may, if you do like a Star of David or a 6-point star, 666 is represented in that.
Well, it's also
Because if
720 degrees too, which is a sign of ascension in some cultures.
yeah, uh-huh. And Lucifer, being Luciferian is the idea of ascending to be like the gods. Also, I ran with Bloods. They throw bees. If you go look up and
The OK symbol, 666.
if you go and look into witchcraft, that is an actual like that is associated with witchcraft. That is a proven fact. There's no debate.
I meditate doing it. I call it a mudra, and I meditate doing it because it helps the energy flow through the body in meditation. That's what I use it for. But I do understand that, like you said, it's Luciferian people and Wiccan people and all other type of people who have different beliefs and what they channel and use stuff for. But
Okay.
I'm one
Also,
of those ones that use the white power. So we're gonna call it white power since it's what everybody called it. I'm one of the people that do the OK symbol is to meditate, and it's because that it makes energy flow.
yeah.
It's the energy flow, and it's uncomfortable too when you're sitting with your legs crossed with your arms up like that. And the point of meditation and all
So
of yoga and all of that shit is to
so
go through pain and still focus.
when I was 19, I made a pact with the devil. I was a Satan worshiper at 19 years old.
I'm
So
listening.
the reason that I know about Satanism and whatnot is because I was deeply involved with it. Like when I signed my name in blood and made my ritual oath with the devil, anytime I'd walk into a room that had candles after that, they flickered and sparked until I found God.
And would you say when you found God, when you walk into a room, everything lights up?
No,
It's not
no.
bright, it's not smiley. Okay, that's question. Since you were into it, how can you prove that anything that you did while you were worshiping Lucifer worked?
Well, crazy idea. You know people that sell drugs?
Yeah.
Okay. Do they get money?
Yes.
Do they get women?
Yes.
Do people want to be like them?
Yes.
Where do they end up?
At the end, dead or in jail.
Mm-hmm. It's inverted,
That didn't answer my question though.
but it
That's
does.
because you don't have to do something bad to. You don't have to. That person that's selling drugs isn't worse than Lucifer though. That person selling drugs is probably is saying that they believe in God. They're going to church every Sunday and putting their 10% in the basket. So
Yeah, but explain. But listen.
no, I
Explain.
want to know your
But
personal experience though. I'm saying I want to know what you experienced to made you feel like that it worked. I'm not. That's what I want to know. I'm saying like, did you
well, the
ask for
reason.
something like how most of us
No,
will pray? Go ahead.
no. I didn't sign. I didn't make a blood pact to gang.
No, but I'm asking like, so like you believe in speaking in tongues, right?
I don't.
So you don't believe that the people in the Bible spoke in tongues like they said?
I don't believe that we can speak in tongues now. I
No,
don't think
not
it's godly.
yeah. Oh, I definitely agree. But I meant, but I was asking overall. Like you believe
So,
in speaking tongues, like black people still they shout. Shouting to them is speaking in tongues, and that's a sign of them that they felt the Holy Ghost or God touch them. I'm saying, did you have like some sort of well, you said the flames flicker, like were you okay, well shit, I guess you said you didn't ask for worldly things either. So you didn't
yeah.
pray or
So
anything.
no, the reason that I signed my name, the reason I signed my name in blood, and I made a pact with the devil was because I was doing the devil's work, and I felt that it would benefit me in the long run. I didn't want to be famous. I didn't want like I didn't have. I was 19 years old. Like I didn't have aspirations of anything crazy, but I was doing shit where I'm getting shot at, and I'm doing grimy shit with grimy people all the time. And I figured, since I'm doing his work, it'd probably benefit me if I showed allegiance.
So at
And
that time at night, oh, go ahead.
I made it to 31, not dying. Been shot. I've been stabbed. I've been jumped. I've done enough drugs to kill a horse and never OD'd. Listen, bro, when I came back from Cincinnati, I was down with my dudes in Akron. I pulled up and bought 3 grams and bought 2 ounces of lean. They handed me a Sprite, and I go, what's this for? And they're like, to mix it. I said, why would I do that? I drank 2 ounces of lean straight, and then I did 2 grams of dope. And they said, whoa,
Damn.
you can't do that here. And I said,
Yeah,
what do you
your
mean?
heart's pop.
And they said, you can't die here, bro. I was like, I'm not dying. I'm going to work. And then I went to work. Like I never fell out. I never had an OD. I've come close to death many of times.
What
And I
was
made it.
your religious what how were you in religion when you were 19? Did you have like a formal upbringing in religion?
No, like I was a fence sitter. Like I went to church because my parents made me. I went to a new church because my dad changed women, so I didn't have any kind of idea to church. I kind of read the Bible to be that guy that could put out facts to be a smartass to Christians. I didn't believe in God
So if you didn't believe in God, how did you believe in Lucifer enough to sign you a pact with him?
because I was hanging out with people that worship Satan and gang members. There's gang members that worship Satan, and a lot of the hand gestures, a lot of the gang signs, a lot of them are satanic symbols, not just the 666, not just the 5 point star, the 6 point star, the uh the
I don't attribute it to Satan, but I understand where the narrative comes from.
no, but in Satanism, those are symbols and things that are used
I know.
in
That's why I said
magic.
that. Trust me. That's
So
why I
it
said I. That's why I said I understand where you're coming. I understand where the narrative comes from. I
yeah.
understand definitely. I said some of the stuff that you're saying, like the hand gesture and stuff. Again, like I said, I use it, but my using the way I use it is totally different, and I'm not worshiping anyone. It's relaxation methods for me to meditate. But okay, so you knew guys that were. Did you know any Christians that were running with y'all with the devil worshiping crew?
I wasn't running with Christians.
You didn't know
They
any
weren't
though?
like my mom or my grandmother, but I wasn't hanging out with them. Like I went on my own at 17. Like I knew people, but it's just like when you're a drug addict, you don't hang out with sober people. like I
Agreed. Yeah, I said, but as I was baptized or told I was a Christian, I wasn't always living Christ like. So I did some fucked up shit. So I probably would have been one of the ones running with y'all.
Yeah, but
But
see that.
you gotta
But
say,
again,
but as soon as I would have found out it was some devil worshippers in the crew, I would have backed off because of my Christianity upbringing.
but like I like listen, man. When I was worshiping the devil, I seen shadows, I seen shades. You would see things move that
See,
by
that's what I was
itself.
asking you. This is what I'm talking about. When I said, what happened to make you, you know what I'm saying, believe and keep doing it? That's what I was asking about, personal
Well,
experiences.
but that's not why I kept doing it. I wasn't.
I just wanted to know what you experienced. That's all.
Yeah, but seeing those things were byproducts of what I was doing. It wasn't like the benefit. It's just like selling dope. Like you get benefits from it, but all the bad shit that happens, it all ends the same way because it's made from that. So when you worship the devil and do shit like that, you're the side effect is the demons and all the shit that you see and like all like that's all a side effect. Like there's no benefit to it. Like there's no gain. But the
It's
reason I be the
Go ahead.
reason I became a Christian was because I seen a lot of things that happened as I was getting sober that I could tell that that was God that was working in my life. And you have to also think like I had never been sober before. I was trying to find myself. I've always been an intelligent guy. I've always been an intelligent guy, and I've always been a guy that wanted knowledge or wanted to know things. Like I was that kid that asked why. Like I'm sure you had one of your kids; they would ask you why whenever you said anything. I was that kid, but like I know for a fact that when you see gang members tag stuff, the way that they tag stuff is the style in which they do it is symbolizes things to go back to Satanism. The hand gestures, things to go back to Satanism. Like like long story short, gang stuff is really low level Freemasonry.
Yeah, I
So
say
like
the same thing about Islam with their little crescent moon and the star. Catholic
yeah,
churches have the all the churches have some type of tenets in it too. You have to be honest. From their
I
symbolisms to the cross or the dagger or the nipples that they have on the churches, all of them get away with some type of it.
yeah, but that's but again, if you listen to what if you listen to Jesus, me and you right now talking about religion, that's church. That's what when he talked in the Bible about church, this is what he said
Agreed.
about us. The two of us talking is church. He also said not to get caught up in traditions and bloodlines. So when you go and talk to your father, he said don't call another man don't call another man father. He was specifically talking about stuff like the Catholic Church. Like I'm telling you, as a Satanist and a Catholic and a Christian and a guy that's read the Bible many, many of times, the Roman Church is just it's paganism with a veneer of Christianity for power. Like I'll give you a great example. Remember how I mentioned Aleister Crowley?
Hmm.
Do you remember what you said he was?
Yeah, Satan, a pedophile or Satanism or
Oh,
Satanist.
okay, so explain to me why the same thing is so prominent in the church.
I mean, because biblically it's always happened. It's
Yeah, but
happened in
why?
the Bible as well. And the
Yes,
Bible don't talk about Satan that often.
yeah, but the Bible also says not to drink blood, not to eat blood.
You understand the Bible doesn't say that because it actually tells you to take up a remembrance of him. Do this in my name. Here's the body and blood of Christ. Do
Yeah,
this in remembrance of me.
it does not tell you to eat blood. It says it tells you specifically in the not to eat blood.
Well, it gave reference to it when it's saying you're eating Jesus's body and blood. You missed it. There's context. You know what the context of eat my body and drink my blood is.
That's not in the Bible. Communion is not in the Bible.
It might not be.
That,
I have to.
it's
Again, I know it's a Catholic tradition, so it
it's a
might
Catholic
not
tradition.
be. It might not be. I know they read the Bible up to that point, so I could be wrong.
Yeah,
And I
communion.
haven't practiced in forever.
Communion. Communion is not in the Bible. That's a Catholic thing. Like,
Well, Kojic churches give it. Kojic churches have their Eucharist. Well, I don't know what they don't call it Eucharist, but they have their once a month eating of the body and the blood, where they give out crackers and stuff too.
but again, that is a symbolic cannibalism.
I agree. I'm not arguing that.
That's not in the Bible. It's like when you kill animals in the Bible, it tells you not to separate the meat from the blood. Like, you're not supposed to just be drinking the meat or drinking the blood and shit.
Those are Jewish that's the kosher shit. That's Jewish stuff. Do you abide by that?
I don't drink blood. No, I don't. I don't eat blood
Do you
sausage.
separate your meat and stuff? So you don't speak. I had a steak today. How do you eat your steak?
I eat my steak medium rare.
Well, that's there. There you go. That's blood there, sir. I do too.
Yeah,
I don't deny it.
yes, but drinking blood or eating the blood is different than eating a piece of meat that has blood in it.
I agree. It's all
Like,
weird though.
they
It's
they
just all
collected
weird.
they collected the blood. So the point that I'm telling you is, I know without a shadow of a doubt, like, if you go and look up about the have you looked at any of the stuff in the Catholic Church, like the
Not since
Vatican?
I've not slightly since I've been out of it. Well, what part of what? Like the cachet of pictures and stuff that they have, the wealth they got. What in particular you mean?
Okay, so how you doing, Lawrence? Anything you want to add?
Actually, right now, I'm just listening. Excuse me, I'm sorry, clearing my throat. Right now, I'm just listening to it. But if I've got the gist of this, what we have right now, panel wise, is you, Savage, being Catholic or formerly Catholic. Am I getting that right?
Formally.
Okay, and I'm assuming
Two
Money
former
Boy.
Catholics.
Okay, I'm Jewish, so all right. So I just wanted to get the understanding
Shalom, brother.
of Shalom. Um, I just wanted to get an understanding of of who's here on the topic because there's without question there's variations on execution. There's no question to that. But like I said, for the moment, I'm just listening. I don't have anything right now.
Before you came, the conversation that we had is, he said that he said, like, pretty much.
Well, let me tell you where I came. Well, let me tell you where I came in. I came in when you started explaining about being a blood, and I've been listening from that point till now.
Oh, you missed a lot. I'm glad. Could I ask him the question? Just that this question will bring him up to speed.
Okay.
All right. So you said that you are Jewish, correct?
Yes.
The conversation we had prior to you coming on was, I said that the only religion that should exist is Judaism, because Jesus was born a Jew, he died a Jew, he came back and said that he came for his people. He came to preach the word to his people, to restore order, which were to the Jews. And so I was telling my brother, no knock to you being Christian, me being a Christian. I personally don't believe. I said, but if I did, everyone should be Jewish. And he disagreed. even though Christianity came after Judaism, and he keeps trying to say that Jesus was talking to people other than Jews.
That's not what I said.
No, and at some point we did, because I was saying that Jesus was his message was only for his people, and I included that where there were some Comitics, the pagans. He had word for them, but my overall point was everyone should be Jewish because that's who he came back for. That his whole time on earth, he was here working strictly for the Jews. So
Yes,
why
because
isn't everyone Jewish?
this is why. Because the Jews kept not listening to God, and they angered him. When Jesus came back, he came back specifically to preach the word, to bring his sheep, his flock back. And anyone that wanted to follow his preaching could, but he was specifically trying to get his flock back. So he came and spoke to the Jews, but he was not there to force the Jews to follow him. So by them not following them, Jews stayed because they didn't believe he was the Messiah. The people that became known as Christians were considered followers of Christ because they followed the word of Christ.
But some Jews did follow Jesus, though. You keep making it seem like none of the
But
Jews followed him.
no,
Like
but
he came back on a blank mission. But no, the question was for him, though. We wanted to get his take. We know where we stand on it. We want to know how he feels on if Judaism is the true religion because you believe Christianity is the true religion. And I say neither are the true religion, but I would lean more towards Judaism. So, my brother,
you should
could you give us your take?
My take?
Yes, sir. Is
the first
Judaism the true religion?
okay, yes and no. The question is a loaded question, and here's why. Because when you look up Judaism is not a religion, it's a belief, it's a faith, no more, no less. It's just that simple. It's not supposed to be a religion. There's no such thing as there's supposed to be religion. He didn't come to bring us religion. He came to bring us faith and a belief system to get on point. You also have to understand that there's a difference between being Jewish and being Hebrew. I say I use the word Jewish because it makes it easier for a lot of people. But the fact of the matter is I'm Hebrew. Okay. One is something you can become part of as a belief system. The other one is something you are simply born as. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. So as a Hebrew, I am a Hebrew. Okay. And that's what that is for me. I'm a Hebrew. I am born. My genetics are based on the foundation of the people. Jewish.
Are you a Hebrew Israelite or a Hebrew, just plain Jewish? We'll say yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Let me give you the background because Kyle's already heard this. But here's the deal. I was born and raised Baptist. When I was 14, I was removed from my home and I was adopted. And I was adopted by a Jewish woman. So I was raised Jewish. As I got older, I moved into the Hebrew Israelite faith. Does that make sense now?
Yeah, it does. That has to be kind of tricky, man.
Well, it's a process, and like I said, I've seen it from 3 different angles. And I also spent a lot of time with the vast majority of people that I lived with and grew up with in my lifetime are Hispanic. So I've got a pretty good eye on what Catholics are doing too. Mind you, I know there's a difference between Catholicism, Roman Catholicism, and all that good stuff. There's different variations, just like there is everything else. Exactly. There's variations on all of it, including Judaism. But I guess what I'm trying to explain to you is we got to be careful with words because there's a difference between Judaism, being Jewish, and being Hebrew. You understand what I'm saying? And I think the problem here is we're conflating all of them into being the same thing, and they're not. Judaism is a faith-based system. Being Jewish is something you called yourself. And if you understand the hematology of words, the word ish, which is ish, means something like, something similar to, but not the actual thing. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then like I said, there's the Hebrew Israelite aspect. You were born a Hebrew. That's period in the story. Now, whether or not you follow a Judaic lifestyle and faith system, that's a whole different kind of beast. But certain people are simply born Hebrew, and that's not everybody. You know, I don't want people running out here thinking only black people, because that's not.
Well, you mean everybody's born a Hebrew, though, right? What do you?
No, I do not. No, I do not. There are to me in my faith, there are only specific people who are born Hebrew. Period. Other people can be Judaic and follow the faith, but they can't be born Hebrew. That's my personal feelings on the matter.
Okay, so
It's
birthright. You going off birthright. I got you.
Yes, but you also have to understand that birthright doesn't give me carte blanche either, because that's where a lot of people get confused. Okay, because you got to understand, if you look at scripture and especially prophecy, you have to understand that we have a couple of things that came into play. Jesus may have can't come back to talk to his people, but he also made it abundantly clear that we messed up a lot, that he's opening the door up for other people other than us to have the same opportunity that we do. We messed that up. Then you have to look at prophecy at the tail end, where it simply states point blank, he will bring his people back together, but there will be nations still in existence who will fall and work under his will, because he said they will bow before him and recognize him as the true God. So when people walk around saying, oh, this group's going to be destroyed, that group's going to be, it doesn't work that way. I don't know if I'm saying it right. I might be babbling, to be honest with you.
Well,
You are
the main contention of this conversation was I said that Catholics are not Christians. In order to be a Christian, you have to follow Christ.
That's correct.
And
that is correct.
Catholicism does not follow Christ.
It does not.
They believe they are following Christ.
No, that's
what they sell to people, that they're following Christ.
Right.
But the devil, the devil's in the details.
Exactly. And if we're
all the religions.
Yes. Well, yeah, that would be accurate. That would be among all of them. Absolutely. There's no question. I mean,
with religion leads one to think that they're better than the other, because that was our conversation. That
well, see, Christianity is a belief system. It's not a religion. Following Christ is a belief. It's
exactly
a belief in following his principles. He
exactly.
says not to worry. He said not to worry about bloodlines and traditions. Religion is traditions, and birthright is bloodline. Those two things that I said earlier that he said justified exactly what he said. Same thing.
I get the second part.
Because of your religion, you're saying his beliefs are invalid.
No, that's not what he's saying. Why would no. Hold on. Why would you say he? No, that's not what he's saying. That's not what he's not saying my belief. He's not saying my belief is invalid. He might disagree with it, but he's not saying it's invalid. That's a leap. You can't make that leap, dude. That's a false argument and false equivalency. You can't do that, bro.
I believe that Jesus is the true God. I do believe that. So if you don't believe in Jesus, I do believe that you're not you're not on the same path as my religion believes. But I don't think I'm better than anybody because that they think that.
Exactly.
I don't mean better as in the typical sense, but I'm saying like you feel that your religion is the one, your religion and belief is the one true religion. Because on the other hand, the one you just came in, you were talking about bloodline. You said you were born Hebrew. He said in his, no Christians on his side can believe in bloodline.
No,
yes.
He said not to worry about bloodline. That's why he said he believes that he's a Hebrew, but then he said that people think that's carte blanche, which that would be big. That's the whole idea of getting caught up on the bloodline. So if you're going to be a Hebrew Israelite, and a lot of those guys believe strictly hard on that bloodline, and that the Gentiles are beneath them. Like a lot of
Exactly.
the Hebrew Israelites you hear about talk about the idea of white men being slaves and savages, animals.
Women being bed wenches and handmaidens. That's not how it goes. That's not how it goes. That's the point I was trying to make to you. You know, being born something by birth, like I said, does not give you carte blanche. It doesn't mean you get to get up and go out there and do all that. Because if you're following the teachings and the path, there's no denying that the teaching and paths come down to two things and two things only: peace and love. If you're standing outside telling people they're going to burn in hell, if you're telling people that they're going to be made slaves and whipped every day on your plantation, if you're telling them you're going to take their women and rape them and etc. and so on because they're nothing but bed wenches and handmaidens, you're wrong, because that's not what he's teaching. In addition to that, that makes you no better than the very oppressors you're claiming you have a problem with. Because if they've done that to you and your people for centuries, why would you turn around and do the same thing to them? Two rights don't make a wrong. That's what I try to get people to understand. And that's why when you said that he said my belief system is invalid, you did something similar to that. You jumped in a direction that wasn't even remotely close to what he was saying. He might not agree with my particular take on the matter, but he doesn't. There was not a single moment where he made it a point that my belief system's invalid. It's just that he personally doesn't believe it. That's something we got to learn to do as a people. We got to stop throwing our own personal interpretations on stuff. You got to listen to what the words are said, not how you want to make them be. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You know,
That's right.
I
That's why I was saying.
misworded it.
No, you're fine, man. But like I was saying,
yeah, you're good. You're good.
right.
You're good. I was just explaining myself. You're good.
Yeah, that's why Catholics aren't Christians, because the whole idea of the Christian faith came from the followers of Christ. So when Christ died, the apostles were still going around and teaching they were the reason that we have the New Testament. They were teaching what he had said. So before Christianity was a thing, they were known as followers of Christ.
That's
and
correct.
Then over time, they became Christians. And then over time, the Catholic Church became the Catholic Church for power. Like, that's why, like I just pulled up pictures. Like, I'll show them again. But this is all stuff that's in the Catholic Church. This is in the Vatican.
Oh,
So
I know about their vast wealth. I know. That's what. And I remember I also said, if you ask them, they will say that they're the head of the Christianity sect.
Yeah,
Let them tell it.
Yeah, and to add to that, you got to take in consideration what other church do you know who is literally listed on the United Nations as their own nation?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. I mean, it's insane.
Yeah, like this right here. If this is
are they perpetrating Christians?
Yes, they are.
I would
pagans.
say so. Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
When I told you that this
I
this
can't
goes
disagree
back
with that, because that's what I was saying the whole time. I was saying, like, they tell people that they're Christian.
Yeah, but that's
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But okay, but that's when I told you that there's only two religions. There's God's religion and there's the serpent. Because the serpent's whole idea is to get you away from God. It doesn't matter how you get away from God. As long as you're not going to God, he won. That was the whole point of him usurping the human race. So even if the Bible says, the Pope said, like the Pope is believed to be the holy seat of God and to be the representation of God on earth. If you believe that, even if it's in the name of God, you're being diverted by the devil. Like, if you look in this picture that I'm showing you right here on my screen, that is a snake. This room is built to look like a snake.
Some cultures don't believe the snake to be evil, though. Cultures that pre-exist.
But again,
church.
But see, you're adding stuff in. We're only talking about what we're talking about right now. You're sidestepping the point he's making.
It plays together because y'all are assuming that the snake is an evil connotation. Y'all are taking where they borrowed it from.
First of all, to be honest with you, I don't think I heard either one of us say that we assume the snake is an evil connotation. At least I don't remember saying those words.
He just said that there's only two religions. He said the serpent religion and God's religion.
Correct.
Right, right, but that doesn't mean the serpent is evil. It just means that they're using the serpent as their representation. That's all it means. They choose
So
to use the snake as their symbol. That doesn't mean anybody's saying the snake itself is evil. It's just we recognize symbolism for what it is.
the reason that, like, you can't say that you're a Christian church and the serpent tricked Eve, and they sinned, and then make a building that looks like a serpent and say that you're a Christian. Like, the reason the serpent is considered bad to Christians is because of the story of Adam and Eve. So, like,
What's this?
if we're gonna go with the idea that this is a Christian church, then why would they put the symbol of the serpent as a building? Like, it's a building, and then not only do you look at this building, like, you can see these two eyes. This glass is made to look like there's two eyeballs in the center, and then you have the face right here. Well, then in this same exact photo, you can see this demonic statue that's over here. Yeah, like, this is the look of the outside of the building. You can see the head shape, and the eyes are on the side of the building. It looks like a serpent from above.
It's
This is
actually funny, and because in all the churches that we had at school and stuff, the statues that they would have of the serpents would actually be under Mary's foot.
Yeah, and I was telling you that Mary, worshiping Mary, it goes back to Babylon, and it goes back to the idea of Semiramis and Nimrod and Tomas. And right here, this is in this building right here, where this building right here is where this statue is. That's supposed to be Jesus. Those are demons. If you look at the side of this statue of Jesus, this is a reptilian head. This is a serpent head on the side of it. It's highlighted in green right here.
So, what's your interpretation of them using the snake?
Because they're not worshiping God. That's why they pray to the saints. That's why they pray to Mary. That's why they get caught up in tradition. That's why the Pope has wealth.
Mr. Guy, what's your interpretation of the snake? Because you said that you take symbolism for what it is.
Well, like I said, they're using it as their particular as their particular symbol. I don't necessarily equate the snake to just being an outright evil creature. It's similar to the LGBT community, for example. For them, they use the pride flag, which is a rainbow. Now, if you remember your scripture properly, that rainbow is being used by them, but it actually belongs to the Hebrews, because after everything that happened with Noah, the Most High had promised that he wouldn't do the earth like that again by a flood. And he said, in order to keep that promise, I will give you a symbol. And that was the rainbow. Now think about that. The LGBT are using the rainbow colors as their symbol. Does that make the rainbow evil? No, it doesn't. It just means somebody's appropriated something that didn't belong to them. That's how I look at it with the snake.
Yeah, but but in the context of Christianity, in the Old Testament, in Genesis, the serpent was the deceiver. He was not good in the story of Genesis. He's the representation of a bad act. So to be a Christian church and to worship in a serpent, like, there's no way in the context of the book and Christianity to somehow make this thing here that's on my screen something that's good or in any way a positive for the people of this faith that are supposed to believe that the serpent was the incarnation of the devil who was doing bad things. Like,
no. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I was just saying just the overall symbol concept of that. The snake thing, has it been used to describe concepts of evil? Yes, but that doesn't necessarily make the snake in and of itself an evil thing. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was
but
just asking both of you all's interpretation. That's all.
well, no.
When
But
I
what I'm
say
saying,
it's Kundalini energy.
I know what you're saying, but also this the serpent is a symbol of power as well. That's why if you look at Egyptians, they had the serpent beard, like they had serpents on their garb. If you look at the staff of medicine, it's got two serpents on it. If you look at the Pope when he has his when he has his staff, it has a serpent on it. That is a symbol of power that's been used forever. Which again, if this is a Christian specific thing, this would be a bad thing to be doing.
Yes, and
Yeah,
yeah,
I
and that
agree. That's why
yes,
I asked you the
yeah,
perpetrator.
yeah, in that respect, I agree with you, Kyle, because knowing full well what the serpent represents in Scripture, why would you choose that? That
Yeah,
in that respect, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%.
and
That says a lot of bad, you know.
They're
and that's
deceiving
what
people
makes them not a Christian.
under the
And
guise of Christianity.
well, here and yeah, that they're a pagan. Like that's why I said there's two religions. You've got God's religion, and you have the serpent religion. And the serpent's whole job is to get you from God. And like, here's a perfect example. Why was there a flood on the earth? Why did he flood it?
Because floods typically happen, but according to the Bible, it's because people were evil.
Because they have done so much debauchery that everything had become everything had become an abomination, and God had to get rid of it. So
Yep.
he promised not to do it again. Now, what are some of the things that were happening at that time that caused that flood?
Are you
I don't
talking to
know.
me or are you talking to Money
Yeah,
Boy?
I don't know, but you make it
Either
seem
one.
like God was surprised all this happened, and He's supposed to be
I'm
all
not.
knowing.
No,
I'm
no, he
not
wasn't.
saying.
He
I'm not
wasn't
saying he wasn't
surprised.
surprised.
Yeah, he's
What
not.
I'm
He wasn't
saying,
surprised.
he cleaned the slate. Do you think that there was some homosexual activity that was going on at that time? He
If you're
destroyed.
if you're asking me,
I'm,
I know it. I know it's a yes. So I mean, you know.
Oh,
so
I didn't know if he was. I didn't know he was asking a question. I'm sorry.
I'm saying to both of you. It's not specific, but the whole reason that they use the flag is just like if you look into Satanism, they have the Baphomet. The Baphomet is a transgender. He's a transgender looking being. He
Yes,
comes
that's
from
true.
the Greek god of Pan. Pan was a goat, a god, a half man, half goat creature that was the god of pederasty, which is boy love. Okay, so you can now
It's
see
some people
why.
that believe, but it's some people that interpret the Baphomet totally different.
That's great. I understand that, but I'm telling you that the Pan Pan was the Greek version of the Baphomet. And I can tell you right now that transgender is becoming more prominent in our culture. And I can also tell you that Sodom and Gomorrah had a lot of gay stuff going on, correct? And he destroyed those cities. But prior to that, he flooded the earth and said he would never do it again. So then, when they were doing that gay stuff in those cities, he destroyed the cities. He didn't flood the place. And now the gays are using that symbol to have pride in the fact it's flaunting it to God. They are proud that they are gay and they use the flag because there won't be a flood. It's a mark in the face of God.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, I got a question, guys. So you said homosexuality was going on when God flooded the earth.
Correct.
So God wiped everybody out except for Noah and his family.
Correct.
And he still created more human beings to take up homosexuality when he could have just stopped it.
But that's see what you're taking out of the fact is when God. Okay, so when God when God made all of when He made the world that He made, this could have been the best possible outcome. You have to understand that the reason that depravity happened was our original sin. That's why in the Old Testament you always had to sacrifice a lamb, because the blood of that innocent, unmarked animal washed away the sin. It became a point in time where the sin, it kept becoming more sinful and more sinful, to where you were not able to use a lamb to cover the sin. So God brought Jesus down as the ultimate sacrifice to to wash away that sin.
That didn't answer my question though. God is all knowing. He flooded the earth
Yes,
because too much wickedness was going on, homosexuality being one of them. All he
correct.
left around was Noah's descendants.
Yeah,
He left around people's descendants that he knew was going to produce gay people, so he could destroy them again. Because that's all that happened. If Noah's descendants populated the earth after the flood, that means God knew more homosexuals were coming, and he was going to have to destroy a city called Sodom and Gomorrah, and he did nothing to prevent it. So why would he destroy the earth in the first place?
the same reason he didn't kill the Hebrews.
He destroyed the entire earth to bring it back to destroy it again.
Because okay, see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Okay, he destroyed everything in the flood. That's fine. Then we come back and we get Sodom and Gomorrah. That's fine. The thing, see, you got to understand. The thing about it is that where the Most High is concerned, He keeps His promise. He allows us to make the choice. So when he allowed other people to be created again and so on and so forth, he's sitting there and he's doing like any good father would, hoping his children are going to make the right choice. Okay, and more often than not, as we've proven to him, we don't. So it wasn't like he destroyed all of them and turned around and said, "Let me make some more of them." It wasn't like that. It's just that he destroyed everything, and he was hoping for a clean slate. And he hoped that through the lesson of the flood, we would get the message and start making the right choice. God's not what?
He's not supposed to hope. He's all knowing. He's supposed to know.
We have free will, though.
Yeah, he gave us free will. That's the thing, because you can talk about God being all knowing all you want to, but he still gives us free will to do what we want. That's why we have Lucifer. That's why we have Sodom and Gomorrah. That's why we have Nimrod. That's why we have David being a good king, but turning around and doing grimy stuff with another man's wife. That's why we have Solomon with 700. He knows what the outcome is going to be, but he still gives us the choice, the free choice to make it. And he self-corrects, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know how to explain it. Azin's probably better. Azin's probably
fine.
better.
I'm just asking questions. You haven't said anything off base or anything. I'm just asking questions. And these are the same type of questions that led me to being a non-believer. So if y'all can shed some insight to help enlighten me, then
Okay.
But I got one more though, because he said that God, you get free will, but he knows the end result. Okay, so if that's the case, when Moses went to Pharaoh to let his people go, he apparently was going to say yes for God to harden his heart so that he wouldn't do it. You wouldn't need to harden his heart if he was going to say no. So there was no free will there, or if he did, or if there was free will, then God manipulated because he knew the Pharaoh was going to let him go because it wasn't worth the trouble. And he said, nah, be stubborn.
Yeah, but realistically speaking, that's not, he does that all the time. Look at Jonah. Jonah was stubborn as all get out. What did he do? Make him swallow a wild whale, and you're gonna go do what I said do.
Well, that's not free will then.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but the thing is that there are moments where I don't know how to put it in words. It's free,
brother. You won me over simply because you said you said I understand what you're saying. You won me over with that, which is what I can't get from most religious people.
Oh, well, it's just a common sense perspective, and it just depends on how you want to interpret it and what direction you want to go with it. But at the end of the day, I won't lie. There's going to be a lot of things that I can't give you an answer for, and I wouldn't be foolish enough to sit here like most people and pretend that I could. All I can do is give you my interpretations based on using my faith to interpret it, and that's going to be a personal thing for me. You know.
But you
I'm
also,
sorry, Kyle.
you also have to take in consideration, like there are certain parts of time during the Bible that God did stuff and didn't do stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the beginning, God did certain things, people made him mad. God did things, he did stuff to correct it, he didn't do stuff to correct it. And then it came to the point when Jesus came. Do you know why Jesus gave all his apostles the ability to heal and perform the same abilities as him? Because there was no book. There was nothing. If you wanted to preach the word, like he did the same thing with Moses. Moses went to Pharaoh, and then he did the same tricks that the Pharaoh did. He threw down his staff and made a serpent. The Pharaoh did, like, he proved that God was working through him. Same way Jesus gave the apostles the ability to do the things that he could do even after he died, but he said that would die with them because they were the point to prove it to the people that were unwilling or not willing to see. They needed to be shown, so he showed them. And then he said, when it dies, when you all die,
say
it dies
the
with you.
Hebrews. Don't say the people, say the Hebrews.
No, but I'm saying the apostles, when the apostles themselves died.
I know, I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you because
Yeah.
you know I said I would agree with the Judaism aspect of religion more than anything.
But
but they weren't. But they weren't.
Azen is in the chat, and he made a good point. God always manipulates the situation. It's still free will because you have the choice to accept him for yourself, and that's and I agree with that. I agree with that
y'all
because
know, you know. Okay, my bad.
No. Go ahead. You're fine.
Oh, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well, I was just going to ramble on, to be honest with you. Go ahead.
But if somebody is manipulating the outcome, that's not free will. If I can pay a referee to make the point spread and manipulate it, that's not free will.
No,
the
but
gamblers don't have free will on that one.
Right, but you're looking at a completely different end game here. See, you get somebody to manipulate the point spreads. You're trying to what? You're trying to win a game, or you're trying to make money off a game. That's the whole point of a point spread. Where the Most High is concerned, what this comes down to is that he's trying to
save
get
his people.
He's trying to save his people because we've already committed the first sin. And every person since then has been born in a sin right out the gate. What he's trying to do is he's trying to teach us what's the worst case scenario and what's the best case scenario and how to get there. There are times where he makes people that at the end of the day, if he's your creator and he tells you he needs you to go do this, you don't get to say no in that respect. But you do have free will when it comes to whether or not you want to you want to accept him or deny him. That's where the real free will comes in. Because if you accept him, then you'll go do what he requests of you and follow the plan. If you don't want to, if you take your free will and deny him, then he might get boss on you. I can't get that's no different than working at a job. If you walked in and told your boss you ain't gonna do something, what are you gonna do? He's gonna make it hard on you. I mean, that's just all it is to it.
Is this God's plan or Jesus's plan to follow?
It's
They're
both.
the same.
It's the both. Well, I don't know if they're the same, but I don't agree with that. But
it's God's plan.
Hey, brother Azen, what's going on?
What's going on? Salute
The
everybody.
New Testament canceled out the Old Testament.
No, you're wrong. That's the common.
I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to be quiet and let my brother take over.
That's why I'm asking questions.
I'm trying to tell you. It's the common, exactly. It's the common misconception that everybody uses to bastardize the text. It did not wipe out or do away. When you look, it's somewhere in Matthew where Jesus said, "I did not come to do away with the law. I came to fulfill it." Exactly. And his fulfillment was him dying on the cross.
Mm-hmm. To give everything to give.
What was said in here was that the Old Testament was null and void. You can run it back later on, but that was said.
Yes, what I said.
Who said that?
What I said is when he died, when he came to earth, he came to fulfill it. So by fulfilling it, to go to God, you had to go through Jesus.
That's the part that's null and void. That's the only part that's null and void.
You said the 10 commandments were except for these 3 things.
Listen, what I said. They asked him about the 10 commandments, and he said, if you follow these things, you have followed the commandments. Because the commandments are not to have pride, not to worship false idols, not to have adultery, not to murder. If you treat others how you want to be treated, and you love thy neighbor, then you followed all of those commandments. Because if you love your neighbor, you're not prideful. You're not fucking his wife. If you love your neighbor, you're also not fucking your neighbor's wife if you don't want to be treated like that. You're also not murdering people if you love thy neighbor. So what he was saying is he didn't write any new rules, but he said if you follow these 2 things, you'll be fine. You won't have to worry about it.
You'll do the rest. You'll do the rest. Yeah. If you follow those 2 things, you'll do the rest.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Follow the commandments and have faith in him, because only through him can you get to the Father.
Correct. He fulfilled.
Yeah. It's just that simple. I mean, it's a lot of people want to make it more than what it is and overcomplicate the matter. But that's why he said in order to inherit the kingdom, you have to come in as a child, because as a child, you put away all those things of overthinking, trying to put your own interpretations or spin on it. You accept it for what it is. You follow these commandments, you come through him in faith, and you'll have access to the Father. That's what you need. Everybody overcomplicates it.
And
did I get that right, Ethan?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why if you don't believe in Jesus, you're living under the old commandments, under the old covenant, which he fulfilled.
Yep.
So when he came back and he was talking to the Jews, that's why he was talking to them, because they were under the old covenant and he fulfilled it. So he came to give them the word for them to follow him. By them not following him, they stayed under that law.
Yep.
Yeah. And also him fulfilling the plan of God also was about salvation being open to the Gentiles as well, because through him it was open. That's why he left home. That's why he left home and would not deal with his own people, because the simple fact that there were Gentiles who were seeking him more than his own people were.
Exactly, which goes back to what I was saying. Which goes back to what I was saying earlier about even those of us who follow the tenet of being the true Hebrews, that don't give us special treatment. He opened the door to everybody. You know what I'm saying? I mean, and like I said earlier, that's on us. Because if we had did what we were supposed to do and been the type of people he wanted, like he said himself, he has known no other people but us. And there's no reason he would lie about that. He said, I have known no others but you. So here we are now that we've messed up so bad, so many centuries, that when Jesus comes back, he opens the door to everybody. So sitting there talking about, you're going to run the kingdom and the joint and all that good stuff, you're crazy. It's going to be whoever he decides, not who you decide.
Right. Amen.
And
amen, brother.
That's why
are the Christians are Gentiles, my brother.
Well, either way, it don't make a difference what you call them. At the end of the day, if you follow those 2 things that we talked about, and you out here and you doing the right thing, everybody has a chance, and that's the beauty of it, and that's where the free will comes in. You make the choice. That's why I have issues when I look at Hebrew Israelites on street corners talking the way they do, because that's not how that works. You don't walk up to anybody. I don't care if it's Asian, white, black, Spanish. You don't talk that way to people. You don't tell people I'm going to have you in my kingdom and I'm going to be on top and whipping you. You don't talk like that. You don't look at a man in his face on the street corner and tell him you're going to take his wife to be a bed wench. You don't do that. Nothing in what they say in any capacity follows any law, statute, or commandment the Most High gave. Nothing. Even in the Old Testament, there are sections in the mitzvot where it explains to you how to deal with your slaves, how to deal with indentured servants, and etc. and so on. Nothing in that is anything what these dudes say on the street corner. It's not. And it
Not
it is such a evil and bad thing to do, to it in the spirit of things, because it's not just what you say to people and it affects their spirit, it affects you as somebody it's coming out of your spirit. That's venom. That's not how it rolls, man.
It
That's
is.
not how. I'm sorry, I'm just tight with that. That just
There's
bothers me
no
a lot. I'm
love in
sorry.
that.
not just
Huh?
that, but also but not only are the Christians Gentiles, but the Hebrews are also Christians, because when he came and he spoke and opened the door, any of the people that weren't Hebrew that followed him were followers of Christ.
Right.
Anyone that was under the old covenant that was his people that followed him became a follower of Christ, and they
Right.
were no longer no longer following the Jude I can't even say it, Judaic Christian, or the Judaic religion, or the
Judaic.
faith.
Judaism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't say it.
Judaism.
It's
You
well,
said it
well,
too many times.
It's fucking me up.
yeah. Well, it's Judaic.
But
When the
Right.
phrase you're saying it's Judaic, not Judaism, it's Judaic. Judaic
Right.
Christian, Judeo
whatever,
Christian.
whatever it is, it's been a long day. But
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
the fact of the matter is, had anybody followed Christ, regardless if they were Jewish or Hebrew or anything, he opened it to everyone, so they would all be adopted as a follower of Christ. That's
Right.
why when I said you can't be a Christian and not follow the words of Christ, either you do or you don't. And when a
Right.
religion teaches everything that isn't of Christ, you like, they can say it, but that's not the reality. Just like I said with Black
Exactly.
Lives Matter, Black lives say Black Lives Matter, but then they don't matter when it's not a white person killing a black person. When it's a black
Exactly.
person killing another black person, that's
It
okay.
don't matter. No, it don't even.
Exactly.
Yeah, it don't matter then.
Like,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
when they protest and they shoot at somebody and it hits a car and kills a kid, that's okay, because that's not what they're talking about. Like, that's that bullshit logic, and that's what, like, the Catholic Church did what they did for power. And I showed you that serpent. You can't tell me that you're a Christian and then you're going to give word in that church and say that like that thing that's the deceiver that tricked Eve, we're going to be represented in the word of God to speak it. The demons, that thing's clearly demons behind him. Like, that's like, what is that? Like, is he speaking in Revelations? Is this like what's the point of that building? Like, there's nothing good about it. Even when they brought the obelisk to the courtyard, the Pope at the time, he did an exorcism on it because he said it was evil and demonic. Well, why would you bring it to your church?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Question,
Exactly.
Lawrence.
Yes, sir.
You said that you grew up, you had both sides of Judaism, so you had kind of like the white side and the Hebrew Israelite side.
The white side I grew up with, the Hebrew Israelite side, has only been for me for like the last 5 years.
Okay. What does the side you grew up in consider anti-Semitic, and why don't the Hebrew Israelites consider anything anti-Semitic?
Wait, okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna need you to ask that again one more time.
Okay. The religion that you grew up practicing, what do they consider anti-Semitic?
Anything that I'm gonna keep that one. That one's real easy, real simple. Anything that goes against what they say.
Okay. And
so what's
why
the
don't
yeah?
and I was gonna say, why don't Hebrew Israelites seem to call anything anti-Semitic?
Because you got to understand that from our perspective, the people who are calling themselves are not real Jews. They come from the high end mountains in Russia, came down and adopted our belief systems and tweaked it in their favor. That's how we see it. So to us, we don't waste time trying to call somebody anti-Semitic because they're not Semitic in our minds.
And not just that, but Semitic also, like, Semitic also doesn't go just to Jews or Hebrews. It also goes to because wasn't Semitic a language, and isn't
Yes,
it
it
like
was. Yep.
aren't there
Yep.
Arabs that are or that are Semitic?
That's correct. That is correct.
Yeah,
And you can see it every day, because when you sit there and you listen to say white Jews, for instance, talking, and you thinking they're talking Hebrew. They're not talking Hebrew because it's not their language. What they did is they took bits and pieces of what they could find, and they made something called Yiddish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you understand what I'm saying?
And a lot of people don't know that Yiddish. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people don't know about Yiddish.
Yeah,
That was
prime example. A couple of weeks ago, sitting here on Savage's stream, you know, he called me out on the Star of David. You know, but I had grown up with it so much, you know, being, you know, growing up with my mom and stuff like that. It was everywhere. You know what I mean? But after Kyle said what he did, and I went out, did some homework. It ain't in here no more.
yeah.
And I meant to tell you that too. I forgot to tell you about that. Yeah, that stuff's gone.
Yeah,
you know, because at the end of the day, he did make it a point. Don't have any symbols or idols in your house anyway. So it should have never been here to begin with. But like I said, this is the fallacy of people who follow religion. They get so caught up in the dogma, they can't stop long enough to step outside that space to look at the whole picture. Because see, if I was a different type of person, and Kyle had broke that down, Savage had broke that down for me, I would have told him to kiss my ass, fuck off. But any true person who really wants to find the truth and know the truth is gonna take that knowledge, and they're gonna go check it. They're gonna fact check it. And if it pans out to be what the person told them, then you got to give that props. You got to give that respect. You know what I'm saying? And if it's not, then you keep going on where you want. But people won't even take the moment to consider. You know, there's no civil discord. There's no accepting somebody might know something more than you, even though they're not in your group. That's one of the main problems we have. And I don't know if I said that right, but thank you anyway, Savage. That's the point I was trying to make. Thank you.
that's good.
Man, I need you for some voiceovers, dude.
Who?
You got one of them Allstate man voices.
You
gotta get him to do some drops. You gotta get him to say the name of your show or something.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I've been hearing that a lot lately. I don't know why. It's the same voice I've always had, but okay. I appreciate it, is what I'm saying. Thank you.
Man, you got a radio voice.
Well, that's good, because I don't have a face for TV. That's for sure.
You gotta say we hard on ourselves tonight. Savage said, "Look at me." He said, hey, "Look at me. Would you want your daughter named Mary?" We hard on ourselves tonight.
Yeah, but it's all
some
good.
Handsome gentlemen.
I'd like to think so. I'd like to think so. But I guess for me at the stage I am right now in my life, my looks are the least of my concerns. So, but anyway, I guess the point I was trying to make is, did I answer your two questions appropriately?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Asian, what religion do you identify with, or what belief system do you identify with?
It pretty much be, Christianity, but it's not going to be exactly like what most people would know of here in America, as far as even though I come up in the South, as far as Southern Baptist, but I understand it. The information that I try to bring is not going to be agreed with by most Christians, especially Christians in the South, especially not black ones, anyways, because of the simple fact, of how we have feminism ingrained in the culture here in America. It's evident within the black church of how strong it is. So that's why I wanted to create my own channel to to educate men on the Bible, on the aspects of it, how they can use it accordingly to navigate through life. Because I mean, when you really look at it, the Bible is a collection. First of all, it's a lineage book. Second, it's a book for a rule and guide through life, but there's nothing feminist about it. It's all about men being given the authority by the Almighty to control things, to run things. Women were created to help men in that purpose, but women had no desire to do so, which is why, their punishment is much harsher than men's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can agree. I can say I can agree. The Bible does come off sexist and it has its toxic masculinity, but
No,
it has
it's not toxic at all.
Stop it. When I say toxic masculinity, I think we need to embrace it. Toxic masculinity is why we're all here. I don't care about the women saying, "Oh, it's the toxic masculinity is a good thing." Toxic masculinity is what makes firefighters run into these buildings and stuff.
Oh,
So
I see what you're saying.
Okay, yeah, okay, I
just call it masculinity. I just call it masculinity.
Yeah.
I use the play on words because that's what they call it as a bad thing. So
I see
y'all
what you're
want to
saying.
call it bad? Okay.
No,
we need it. And I tell them that we need toxic masculinity
because they sure ain't gonna do it.
No, they will not.
And like even me as a non-believer, I can agree with the Bible is a way to live life. It's a code to how to get there. I don't take everything literally, but I still can go back and reference parables and stuff and relate them to everyday stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yes.
Look at if nothing else, at the very least, it's a good way of life.
Yeah.
If you do it right, it's a good way of life. You stay healthy, you stay strong, you stay mentally, spiritually fit. Can't get mad at it.
No.
Can't get mad at it. I mean, I got my path. Azen's got his path. Savage has got his path. But the beautiful thing about it is what I was saying earlier. All those different paths, and yet here we are together. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like I say, we don't have to agree on everything. We don't have to. But what we do agree on is what's most important, that the foundation is the same. And that we can all agree. The foundation is the same. The 10 Commandments, follow through faith, and love and stay in peace. That's a foundation we can all agree in. So execution becomes unimportant by then. Because see, whether we agree on execution or not, I know Savage knows that if I live next door to him, I'm not trying to make his life hard, and I know he's not trying to make mine hard. You see what I'm saying? It don't matter if I pray on Saturday and he prays on Sunday. None of that matters. What matters is, are we living, like he said, the tenets that Jesus left for us? Because that's what's really going to matter in the end. Because he's gonna look at me like, "Were you nice to your neighbors?" Yeah, man, I love Savage. We good. You know what I mean? What about Azen? I love Azen too. We good. That's what he's really gonna care about. He said so, because he said every person who comes to you, you treat as if they were him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's all you need. Whether or not somebody worships on Saturday, Sunday, Friday, or go 3 times a week to church, or 1 time a week, or don't go at all. None of that. I'm not saying it don't matter as a whole, but I'm saying we can't get hung up on little bits and pieces of execution like that, because that's not really what it's about.
And
that's not really.
And anyways, the choices that we make, really it comes down to the why that really matters. I mean, if you're making these choices because it's needed in that path that he has you on, and sometimes we have to separate. It is what it is. It doesn't mean that there has to be any animosity because of that separation. It just happens. That's like whenever with doing what I'm doing, I left my cousin's church, and it wasn't no animosity or nothing like that. I understand that the message and truth that I'm trying to bring, it's not going to be, that ain't the place for it. It's not going to be the place for me, rather. So this was, to come on here and create a channel to where I can hand out this knowledge for people that want to accept
it. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, that's something we forgot how to do. We forgot to agree to disagree.
Right.
It's like, yo, if you don't believe in what I believe, to hell with you. I hope all negative things happen to you, and don't ever talk to me again. That's insane. I'm 53 years old. There's never been a conversation I had like that in my entire life. Even as a kid, I never talked like that.
Right.
You know, that's just not how the way it goes. You know, I might argue with cousins over toys and who got the last cookie, but I mean the way grown-ups are acting nowadays, that's insane. I haven't even seen kids act like that. That's madness.
Yeah.
Are you okay? You okay, Savage? You look tired, man.
I am tired.
Yeah, well, let us get off then, so you can get some rest, man. Because you've been up here. Yeah, you've been up here over 5 hours, man.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, I was about to say I was about to get off too. I'm tired too. So
Yeah. But as always, Savage, thank you for having us. Anybody in the chat, don't forget to hit that like button on your way out. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and ring that bell, baby, so you can get all the latest content from Savage Red Recovery. You ain't gonna do no better. Was that good?
I believe that'll work. It's their radio voice.
All right. Oh, I forgot about the.
You got to record and cut that out, Savage.
I forgot about the Cash App and PayPal stuff. I'm sorry, my bad. Hit that Cash App and PayPal. Let's get that man that camera he wants. Stop playing. All right, yeah, but you guys have a good night. All right.
All right. You too.
All right, everybody, peace.
All right. Yeah, peace.
Much love, brothers.
Yeah.
Stay savage, guys.
Later.
Savage.